In the 60-year history of the Star Trek franchise, there's never been a captain quite like Benjamin Sisko. He was a more serious, down-to-earth and nuanced man than the leading characters of most Star Trek series, and the unique challenges and moral dilemmas his position throws at him make Deep Space Nine undeniably one of the best Star Trek series. Captain Sisko was a leader who didn't always have the luxury of making the right decision. Yet time and again, he made impossible choices decisively, bending the rules and the limits of Federation principles while remaining as true as he could to his values and to the duty to his crew. Star Trek Starfleet Academy recently did an episode paying tribute to him, and now it's our turn. In this video, we're going to be revisiting some of the best moments that made Sisko one of Star Trek's best captains, some well known and some that tend to be overlooked. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host, Captain Jack. Like always, if you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Now, we're enjoying making these Star Trek videos on various topics, and we hope you are too. If you do want to support their development, please join our Patreon via the link below. You'll get exclusive access to videos and events, as well as more Galaxy class rewards. As always, please do let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, because if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. Okay, engage. To start off, let's revisit one of Deep Space Nine's best episodes, Season 6's Sacrifice of Angels. Sisko had a lot of great moments in this episode alone, as he leads Starfleet in a desperate assault on the Dominion-occupied Deep Space Nine, but the best of the bunch is actually from one of the episode's quieter moments. When the battle is its most desperate, as a huge fleet of Dominion reinforcements threatens to come through the wormhole at any minute, Sisko takes the Defiant into the wormhole, preparing to make a last stand, only to be whisked away by the Prophets, who insist that his life must continue. Naturally, Sisko doesn't want to die, either. What the Prophets are ordering him to do is probably what he would prefer to do anyway. But Sisko's the kind of leader that puts the people under his protection first, so he stands his ground, and insists that if the Prophets don't want him to die, then they need to get rid of the incoming Dominion reinforcements. He faces this enigmatic group of godlike beings and argues with them as an equal, and in the end, he forces them to concede.
You say you don't want me to sacrifice my life? Well, fine! Neither do I. You want to be gods? Then be gods!
This scene encapsulates so much of what makes Sisko great. His humanity, his commitment to his duty, and above all, his defiance. Sisko doesn't really take from anyone, no matter whether they're a superior officer, a Cardassian, or a god. He stands his ground, and more often than not, he wins. Okay, so next, we move back a few seasons to the Season 3 episode, Heart of Stone, throughout which Nog attempts to convince Commander Sisko to give him a letter of recommendation to Starfleet Academy. Sisko, who does have a somewhat distrust for Ferengi, is somewhat suspicious of Nog's motives, and he eventually refuses. But Nog is insistent, and Sisko, rather than just brushing him off, asks for the truth about why Nog wants to join Starfleet in the first place. Nog reveals that he's afraid of ending up like his father Rom, as he doesn't have any business skills, but believes that he might be able to live a better life in Starfleet, where his skills could prove useful and he could live for something more worthwhile than just profit. Sisko is sympathetic, and he agrees to give Nog a letter of recommendation. Like the previous scene we mentioned, this is one of those moments that shows us a lot about Sisko's character. He's not a perfect man, and he has a clear bias against Ferengi, but when Nog is willing to be honest and open up about his motives, Sisko's able to put that bias aside and show Nog compassion. Now, this scene isn't just a touching demonstration of Sisko's values, either. He's actually a mentor to many characters on Deep Space Nine, and he shows why he's so good at the role here. He's compassionate and willing to be open-minded about people, but he also pushes them when they need to be pushed, helping them be honest with themselves. Of course, the character who benefits from Sisko's mentorship the most is his son Jake. Some of the most underrated parts of Deep Space Nine are the episodes that Sisko spends with his son, and one of the best is the Season 3 episode, Explorers. That episode sees Sisko create an authentic replica of an ancient Bajoran lightship, a non-warp solar sailor, that the Bajorans allegedly used to travel to Cardassia Prime centuries ago. Sisko wants to test the craft's capabilities to see if the legend is plausible, and he takes Jake along for the ride. Plenty of great Sisko family moments ensue, with a notable highlight including Jake convincing his dad to go on a date with Cassidy Yates. But the best moment comes when Jake shares some of his writing with his dad for the first time, and Sisko gives him a mix of praise and criticism, encouraging him to keep honing his talents. In this episode, we see more of what makes Sisko such a great mentor. He He gives Jake praise and positive reinforcement, but he's still honest with him, offering light criticism and saying that he needs more life experience to really be able to write about some of the things he's talking about. He's also being a great parent in this scene, giving his son the advice he needs to best help him grow and find his own path. Moving back to season 6, let's turn to one of Deep Space Nine's most underrated episodes, Rocks and Shoals. This episode sees Sisko and his crew crash on a remote planet where a Dominion vessel has also crash landed. Sisko and company soon come into contact with the Dominion survivors, a small group of Jem'Hadar and their Vorta leader. By the way, just to mention, our writer Sean, who wrote this video, actually wants to do a whole video on this episode, so if you want to see that, get commenting, as I think he wants to write it. Now, the Vorta make contact with Sisko, revealing that he's running low on Ketracel White, the drug that the Jem'Hadar need to survive, and this means that soon the Jem'Hadar will become violently psychotic. To avoid being killed by his troops, he tells Sisko that he plans to send the Jem'Hadar on a suicide assault against Sisko's position, allowing the Starfleet survivors to wipe them out. Following which, he plans to surrender to Sisko. Instead of just taking this easy victory, however, Sisko meets with the leader of the Jem'Hadar before the battle begins, pleading with him to surrender. He offers to have the Jem'Hadar sedated until Starfleet can produce a new supply of Ketracel White, but the Jem'Hadar first, their leader, refuses, acknowledging that the Vorta didn't deserve his loyalty, but asserting that he has it anyway, as the Jem'Hadar were made to serve. In the end, they fight and the Jem'Hadar are all killed, and the Vorta commander surrenders, as promised. For someone who's lost so many friends to the Jem'Hadar as Sisko has, by this point in the Dominion War, it might be easy to just accept just slaughtering the enemy in a fixed fight and moving on with your day. But Sisko does refuse to do that, even knowing that the Jem'Hadar will almost certainly refuse his offer of amnesty. He still shows them compassion and he tries to keep them from throwing their lives away, even if that means giving up the element of surprise for the upcoming battle. Okay, it's finally time to talk about the scene that you all knew was coming. Sisko's monologue at the end of Season 6's In the Pale Moonlight. This whole episode is a great Sisko moment, as Sisko, through a personal log, narrates a series of increasingly illegal and underhanded methods he and Mr. Garrick used to try and manipulate the Romulans into joining the Dominion War. He gets a criminal out of jail to forge evidence of a planned Dominion invasion of Romulan space to trick a Romulan senator with, and he pays a bribe to cover up a crime the forger commits while free. He secretly lures the senator to Deep Space Nine and ultimately fails to convince him that the evidence he has is genuine, only for Garrick to plan to bomb on the senator's shuttle during the meeting, killing him and making it look like the Dominion was responsible to cover up their planned invasion. The deception successfully draws the Romulans into the war, turning the tide of the whole conflict. But Sisko still has to live with what he did to make it happen. At the end of the episode, Sisko reflects on his crimes, weighs them against what the Romulans' aid will mean for the safety of the Alpha Quadrant, and in defiance of Star Trek's usual morality, he decides that the price was worth it, and that he can live with what he's done.
I can live with it.
Deep Space Nine does test the limits of Starfleet's principles more than most other Star Trek shows, and this is one of the best examples. Sisko's duplicity and his involvement in the cold-blooded murder go against everything the Federation is supposed to stand for, the principles Sisko himself values highly, but they're also necessary to ensure that the Federation can survive at all. Sisko isn't just able to accept that, but after reflecting on it, he decides that it doesn't even really bother him that much. It's one of the darkest and most morally ambiguous moments in all of Star Trek, and it's one of Sisko's best monologues. Okay, one last scene. It's a bit of a counterweight to that monologue, and in our opinion, it gets to the core of who Benjamin Sisko was better than any other scene. It comes from a series final, What You Leave Behind, after Dominion surrenders and Sisko meets with Admiral Ross and General Martok in the ruins of a Cardassian city. As Martok promised at the start of the episode, he offers the two humans mugs of vintage blood wine to toast their victory with, but Sisko refuses to drink. He recognises that, in spite of all the crimes of the government, the Cardassian people didn't deserve the horrors of the last battle that the war subjected them to, and instead of drinking a toast to his victory, he and Ross offer their blood wine to the dead.
Bajorans would call this poetic justice.
That doesn't mean I have to drink a toast over their bodies.
It's a traditional show of respect and remembrance for the dead, as well as a refusal to toast victory, and it shows us Sisko's principles in a way few other scenes do. Despite everything Sisko did during the Dominion War, despite all the times he had to go against the rules, the Federation values, and his own sense of morality, and despite his recognition that sometimes the principles of Starfleet didn't have the answers, he still sticks to those principles in the end. Sisko is willing to make exceptions out of necessity, but it doesn't let it make him jaded or cynical. He never loses faith in the Federation and what it stands for, and he never loses sight of what he knows is right or wrong. No matter what he has to do, Sisko remains true to himself and his principles. And finally, before we conclude, we have one of the most honourable mentions to add to this video. Take it away.
You hit me. Picard never hit me.
I'm not Picard.
Indeed not.
So those are some of our favourite Captain Sisko moments. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. Do you have another moment that didn't make it into this video? Get commenting. If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. A big thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. Yours what allows us to continue making these Galaxy class videos. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.